morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies this week with today's Monday's Musings on the 1st of December 2025. And whilst it feels very important not to overcomplicate things this week, that is exactly what I've done. Every time I've tried to introduce this video, this is the third attempt. And there's something in that. We can know where we're making things perhaps harder than they need to be this week. We can say that we're not going to do it or that we want to simplify things, but there's still a process that's unfolding. It will take up until the new moon and the new year to start to really shift through some of the cycles, patterns for what they are. There's a wonderful invitation as we go into 2026 to recognize the difference between change and repetition, because the lines have been blurred within this. How do we know? Based in our responses, based in our reactions. And the next few weeks we're going to be given the opportunity to go over old ground, so to speak. And when I say that, I can really feel that in my root chakra. So there may very well be shifts in the earth's core, but also old stories from the earth herself rising within us. The more we can hold space for any shifts that want to happen in ourselves through our own awareness, the more able we are to hold space for others. I often get asked how I know some of the things that I know. And the truth is, I don't know a lot externally. I don't understand a lot externally. There's a lot of things that happen that I cannot make sense of, like us all, particularly from a human perspective. But what I do know, and I'm continuing to learn, is myself. And that's the real gift as we go into 2026. How well do we know ourselves? It's the saying, I think it's Socrates, know thyself. Why is that important? Because we are a landscape. We need to know our internal landscape if we're going to understand the things that are coming through us and asking to be created and conceived with, particularly over 2026. Yes, we have the year of the magician, and our understanding of what that actually means on a deeper level is going to come through for us all differently. For myself, it's coming through in the role of mediumship, which is something that I have been avoiding most of my life, based on how I have been misguided with what it means, my own and others' misinterpretations of things. And this week, regardless what's happening, there's a lot I could tap into at the moment, a lot of information coming through, but regardless what happens, if we don't know where we are, if we don't know where we're translating something from, we're unaware of its sheer magnitude in potential, because we add to that. We need to be aware of this. So I'm not going to go into too much depth of things that are already occurring, because it feels very valid to know that they're already occurring. Okay, there is a lot that's unfolding and a lot that is transforming itself. But to remember the basics of magic, the basics of shift and change, to lighten things up, to turn lead into gold. Now, that doesn't mean that we necessarily always just take something and make it worthwhile, but we lighten it up. We return it back to spirit. We simplify things. We bring it back to the original emotion or spark that started something. We bring it into completion. That was always the invitation this year. And we've been shown many ways where perhaps we have confused ourselves with that. So I'm going to keep it simple. There are a few things I'm going to share, and one is the fact that my door is actually open, but it looks like it's closed. That feels quite relevant over the next few weeks. Whilst I will be working in the background from the 14th onwards for my own dental surgery and things that are happening my end, I will not be sharing videos or daily guidance. I will write the blog for the 20th, the new moon blog, because the information is already coming through, but there's a high chance I will be stepping back. My door is open, but it is from the outside closed. And I share that one my own availability, but also it's quite important to remain open to the changes that are happening, but also shut down to those that no longer need to keep repeating themselves, to have that balance. The other thing I want to share is one of the sets of cards that I wanted to use today were the Wildwood Tarot, and I was kind of torn between that and the Druid Craft Tarot. And with that came acknowledging the difference between the wild energy and what we're going to do with it, because that's magic. And that is the biggest shift that can happen next year. Yes, as above, so below, but as within, so without. Feeling into anything as we lead into 2026 around our own creativity, our views, our judgments, our overcomplicating of it, and why we feel we need to do that. Where we feel as if we haven't earned something, learnt enough, walked the path enough, fill in the gaps. Why do we feel the need to overcomplicate things? There's a great difference between understanding and knowing, and that's the potential. So, with that in mind, I'm going to look at the energies this week in their purest form. Whatever rises this week, bring it back, strip it back to its purest form. Some of the vibration that's coming through next year is that of the Heyoka, the empathic Heyoka, the sacred clown as well. Yes, of course we have the magician, but we also have the fool and we have the inner child. Club all them together and add a little bit of the sun card from the tarot, and yeah, there's the Heyoka shift for many. That doesn't come from the mental need to understand things. If anything, that could be a very dark hole that you find yourself in if you're trying to find explanation in things where there are none. It comes from being with what you feel. It comes from the shifts that are happening within you. It comes from the actions that you then take as a result of being able to hold that, witness that, create with that, or not, as the case may be. And that's the beauty of our past. That's where we can call upon things that we have experienced before. It's not about going back, or it is about going back to the person we were before we gained experience, so we can bring that part of ourselves home now because we're stronger, we're wiser. The world has changed, we have changed. It's up to us to recognize that, so that when these repetitive scenarios come up, it's not about reliving them, but bringing back the part of us that we have, for whatever reason, pushed to one side until ready to welcome that aspect back. I did the daily dose this morning, and it really is soul retrieval one-on-one. It's like going back to basics, but it's not just about meditations or journeys or healings. This is about everyday life, seeing life as a constant opportunity to come back from a fragmented space into completion, into wholeness. That's going to take some witnessing of ourselves, which means simplifying where our attention is and bringing it back to areas we may not want to look at. And when we do so, we let go of the distractions. We let go of the things that have taken our energy away from us. That may be where we come up with a bit of conflict this week. We're going to know because we're going to feel it in a wild communication. We're going to feel repressed. We're going to feel as if we want to control things. We're going to feel agitated and frustrated and blocked in our communication. You know, the full moon this week is in Gemini. We're going to feel that. But it is a great opportunity to unite our higher self and our physical self. I don't want to say lower self. Our spiritual and our physical self. It's a great opportunity to marry the masculine, the feminine, the light, the dark. That's what this always has been about. By bringing it back to that and realizing that whatever happens this week externally or internally, it's always been about balance. It's always been about inner union. Yes, unity outside. I'm a great believer in that. But it cannot, or it can only occur on the level that you are united within. Okay, so we have the Eight of Swords at the bottom of the packet, but I'm going to shuffle them. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to realise that the cards are so big I can just about grasp it, and the information this week is going to be the same. I'm going to be aware of what's going on around me. My kittens are running wild, which is amazing. They have a lot of joy and confidence in their self at the moment, which is beautiful to witness. doing so with ourselves when that rises as well, because yes, there's a lot going on, but there's a lot of newness, there's a lot of rebirth and freshness coming through for us all. I went to a car boot yesterday. I'd got some items, I won't say the shop, but I got some items the week before last, a pair of boots and a rainbow jumper, and for whatever reason they weren't for me, so I took them back to the shop. And I was quite disappointed because they were for my inner child. I felt a real calling to get them for my inner child, or that inner wild, that youthful type energy. And I went to a car boot yesterday and found a rainbow jumper, a pair of boots, brand new, which suit me so much more, but also some hummingbird earrings. They're the abalone shell, but some hummingbird earrings, which in the medicine wheel is the space of the north, our ancestors, the unknown, winter, the mind, the free mind, our inner light, and our ability to feed from the nectar of life. That always comes down to choice. My whole life, the experiences of strength and courage have helped me to continue to move forward. And I've fed from them. In times of darkness, I've fed from them. Cats running up my chair on cue. You will see these more as the weeks and months carry on, no doubt. The opportunity there is also to feed on the fun and the joy that is available. It is there. Don't forget, this time of year, that's Ronnie. This time of year is a magical time of year as well. There's so much freshness and potential in the air if we can just sense into it. The other thing I want to share, actually, I walked around some garden centres yesterday to get a Christmas tree. Well, I ended up getting a second-hand Christmas tree actually off of Facebook Market, because I don't like the idea of things being thrown out. So I'm about to put that up. But I was walking around the garden centres that are all decorated in Christmas decorations, and it's so beautiful, absolutely beautiful, so magical. And I came home and realised that I spent quite a significant amount of time looking for decorations to put into a house that I have no room for, that I don't actually want. Now, being mindful of the difference between desire that is yours, that has come from within, or that has been triggered externally, there's no judgment there. There's actually a bridge between the two. Something externally may bring up this week what it is we want, but feel a bit deeper, get a bit more curious. Of course, mine wasn't about Christmas decorations. It was feeling into the magic of Christmas and celebrating that and celebrating the light. So the invitation this week is to go a bit deeper should you so wish, but remember, it doesn't always have to come with heaviness. It doesn't always have to come with seriousness. We can explore with fun and with beauty, and curiosity is the key to that. Oh, so we have the wheel at the bottom of the pack here. It's not about drawing a line this week. It's about coming full circle. Okay, it's about, I do see actually the circle here of protection as well. It's about recognizing what actions can protect us from ourselves included and what actions actually keep us held in. You know, the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot goes up and down. This is all part of a normal cycle, and progress is available there if we can recognize the difference between change and repetition. Where are we holding ourselves in, particularly from a protective, defensive nature? Where are we completing things? It also reminds me of something we do with sand painting with the Moon Eye Key. I would totally recommend you look up some of Alberto Villoldo's work. But in some of the sand paintings that we do or that we teach, you build a picture of what you want to create, and you stand in that and you look at it from all different directions and all different perspectives. Now you can draw that, you can build an actual picture out in nature with sticks and, you know, stones and leaves and things like that, or you could look at your life as a circle, as a route of completion, and do it from different angles. What have I learnt here? What have I not seen yet? What changing my position allows me to view? Be curious with it. Have fun with it. Come out of your own box this week. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, overall. And I want to pick one to one side for some reason as well. Okay. So when I first glanced at the cards this week, oh, it looks heavy. Mentally, in particular, it looks heavy. It's very, very important. There are particular days this week to separate what is going on, but there are also opportunities, the Wednesday and the Sunday, to look actually at where things may need to be separated. Now that could be relationships, that could be your perspective of a situation, that could be your own actions. There is potential here for endings that are necessary in order to get back up, to get back on the horse. That's what I hear, to get back on the horse. But there's also the opportunity here of everything to come together and get quite mismatched and miscommunicated. So on the Wednesday and the Sunday, to avoid, I'm not going to say unnecessary endings, well I just did, but in my view there's no such thing as unnecessary, but to avoid the mentality of everything being so related and linked to each other that there was no way out, particularly on the Wednesday and on the Sunday. Overall, I was very tempted and have pulled out the card. Interesting. The moment we're tempted, we've already done something. To recognize that on a creative level. The moment we are sparked or guided or triggered or, you know, being very mindful of the reactions that we're doing without our own consciousness this week is going to be key, because for the overall reading, I have pulled another card to one side, which is the Queen of Swords. And she is to one side and she's watching things unfold and she's preparing herself to act. She hasn't. She's allowing things to play themselves out. She's to one side with our own scenarios this week as well, witnessing them. Sometimes observing things can be the most nurturing step we ever take. On the Monday, we have the Eight of Cups. There is an opportunity here to walk away from things, and it will be as we go from the full moon to the new moon, to walk away from things that no longer sustain us. The alternative is a swift incline from where we may find ourselves. Here, it's much easier to stay with everything that we have, you know, ducks in a row. We know where we stand with something. We may not be comfortable with it, but we know where we stand. And I've got really itchy skin as a result. It feels like a deep shedding of our skin, but also like a reaction. You may find yourself having almost allergic autoimmune reactions to a situation, and it's the body's way of saying emotionally, it's time to, I'm going to say it, move on. Now, I normally pussyfoot around, you know, and being mindful of that, particularly when it comes to endings or moving on, where you may not be getting to the point because it's such a steep incline or it feels like such a different place to where you are now. However, also acknowledge that they're going round and round and round, and not saying things for what they are isn't a mastery of your emotions. It's a placating of your emotions, and it makes that hill steeper. On the Monday, this card, he's moving on. The potential this week is to move on, and I can feel that like a real lightness in my chest, but it's also as if I'm coming out from under deep, deep waters, and we are. You know, this month gone, there was 3 water trines. It was emotionally, even if we may not have felt it, so I was pretty okay most of the month, up and down, but no more than normal, or at least that's how it felt. But sensing into this week and the potential there, it is like we're coming out of deep water. How do we feel about that? We may find something really uncomfortable, but we may have become accustomed to it. With any change, there comes grief of what was, of what could be, of what never will be. Have compassion with yourself, particularly on the Monday, but as you go into the Tuesday. So on the Monday, you may feel like, yes, I'm going to shift this, I can do this, I'm ready to move forward. And on the Tuesday, you come up against something that makes you almost go backwards. Remember that medicine wheel, up and down, almost makes you go backwards to, I just can't do this. The world is a terrible place. Everything I try, it's all unfolding here. But she's not looking in front of her. Yeah, she's covered her eyes to what is actually in front of her. And in front of her, there is a rabbit and a hound, and they are running. It's the chase, it's the hunt, it's the choice. Even though there's no rainbow on here, I've just seen a rainbow. It's the choice. Whether or not our experiences here with the pentacles, all these elements, whether or not our experiences, our ability to create from magic will help us to move forward, or if the hunt, the chase just isn't enough. There are many things in my life that I want, but I can't seem to achieve at times. And sometimes I think back to something like midwifery, where the odds were not in my favour. And yes, it was difficult. I didn't do anything different from what I'm doing now. I just wanted it. I just wanted it. I still wanted the chase. And that's the question on the Tuesday. Do you still want the chase? Do you still want it? Are you willing to look up from where you are on the horizon and really put into place here the wisdom that you've gained, but also the knowing that you will need to gain more in order to achieve it? Yes, it isn't enough. The strength isn't enough. This is the next level. This is that Eight of Cups. This is that incline. Yes, it's going to feel as if there's work to be done, because there is. And I appreciate this time of year, particularly in the winter. You know, it can feel as if we don't have the energy. I am once again massively low on iron levels and things, and it can really feel as if we don't have the energy, and I appreciate that. But it's about taking a moment to go within, acknowledge what you need, ensure that you have that, and then create. It's not that you don't have the energy, you need more for what you're trying to bring in. Okay, yeah, let me clarify that. So that would mean that you don't have the energy, but it's not, the focus isn't all on you and not being able to do something. The reason the energy is lacking in a situation is because the energy has to come from other scenarios around you. And this is where we get a bit confused on the Wednesday. And the Wednesday and the Thursday, they need to be separated. The energy on the Wednesday and the Thursday needs to be separated. Because on the Wednesday, we have the Seven of Swords, and we're leading into that full moon in Gemini, right? So we're talking communication. We're talking, okay, this is what I want. I need to get clear on that. You can't get clear on that on the Wednesday because there's still parts that need to play themselves out. All the time we're trying to get clear on the Wednesday, we're going to go back to defensive energies. We're going to go back to what happened before. We're going to go back to all those things we need to move on from. So on the Wednesday, you would be better served to write down 7 things that actually are still in your energy centers that you need to work with. You know, maybe you're trying to manifest money and you're struggling with that. Well, okay, I need to feel into my root chakra. How safe do I feel about money? Really getting clear on the Wednesday where you're at. Know thyself. And yes, that could come with some headaches. That could, and it's going to take us into the new moon as well. That could come with some lack of energy. That could come with some disbelief as well, not wanting to address where we may find ourselves. That can come from some ego, going back to all the battles that we've won and all we think we know. The truth of the matter is, if we knew enough to achieve what it is we wanted, we would have achieved it. This is an opportunity to learn. This is an opportunity to grow. Whether it's external or internal, it's all an opportunity to grow. It's a communication with your own consciousness. And I really feel that in my throat. Where are we holding that back? What stories need to be written down and seen from a different perspective on the Wednesday? Because on the Thursday, that's where the benefit comes from splitting the 2 days, the Wednesday and the Thursday. On the Thursday, with the actual full moon, we have the 10 of Cups. We have that rainbow in the background. We have that gratitude for everything that has occurred, but not in a really reduced way, we get to see the fuller picture here for ourselves and for those to come, and everything starts to step more into alignment. Not alignment as in this is what happened, this is why. It's not about reason, it's about reality. Oh, I feel that in my root chakra and in my throat. Come the Thursday, there is new ways of communicating with the whole idea of manifestation, because it's not about understanding it but knowing it within us. We know this we understand this on a vibrational level. To step into what we're trying to achieve, we need to match that frequency. But on the Thursday, having separated ourselves from all the logical reasons why we can't, or why we think we want it, or fill in the gap, on the Thursday we come full circle to the joy and curiosity that something would bring us. That takes us back to the initial spark and the youth and the innocence behind an idea that we may have had. On the Friday, we then have the Five of Swords. So it is up, down, up, down, up, down this week. We have the Five of Swords, and it can almost feel as if we're mentally deflated. Okay, so I sorted all that out. I went over all of that. I felt the joy of having it, and yet here it isn't here. Why isn't it here? There are still aspects that need to play themselves out before we can move forward. So on the Friday, really, really important to know what you're holding, including your impatience and your frustration, and how that's impacting the scenario around you. You know, particularly in relationships or in anything that we're trying to manifest, if we become impatient or frustrated, that can cause an almost backward trigger-like effect to the scenario and make it take longer. No good or bad there, no right or wrong there, no judgment there. It's an opportunity to learn where there's repetition and the difference between that and change, particularly in the mindset. On the Saturday, yes, we start to see things from a new perspective. We have the King of Swords. My neck just clunked then. It's like, come the Saturday, there's massive realignment. We have the Queen of Swords at the beginning of the week, which I actually pulled out as an additional card. We do need that nurture, because overall we have the King of Swords, which in his element is an incredible, straightforward, direct energy. But much as we may want that, we may need to go through the process of seeing where we're not first, to understand ourselves. Yes, he does look a little bit, well, actually I was going to say he looks impatient, but he doesn't. He's actually facing the situation head on, and he's thinking, and he's taking it in. And when I say he, yes, that could be a masculine figure, but that can also be, interesting, people in power. That could also be ourselves and our actions. There is an opportunity here to learn. And to take that wisdom forward. There's a fine line here between him being interested. I'll show you the card. Between him being interested and bored. And the image is blurry. And it is when things aren't quite clear. That's when that line between our interest and our enthusiasm swiftly turns into boredom. So look at the communication that's being had there. If things can't be as quick as you would like or clear as you would like, by forcing that, is that helping? By berating yourself, is that helping? What do you need when you're unsure? You know, the space of the unknown. What do you need when you're unsure? Can you sit in uncertainty? How can you make it an expansive, enjoyable place to be? He's holding on to the sword very hard here. Relax the grip. By the end of the week, relax the grip. Embrace the feminine as well, which is the more intuitive, flowing communication that needs to happen. They go together. I can hear the song from Greece. We go together. Overall, we have the 10 of Swords, but I did also pick out another card, which is the 6 of Pentacles. with the Ten of Swords here, it can almost feel as if we've been stabbed in the back, or someone else has stabbed us in the back, or we're just done with the feeling that we're being stabbed in the back or attacked all the time. We're just done with that. Next to it is the Six of Pentacles. What wisdom have we gained then in keeping balance, in keeping harmony? One of the things that I'm doing for December, because I'm finishing early, is to do everything for donation, which is an aspect that I did originally when I started out. I loved doing things for donation, and I've had such a journey with that. I've had many people say that I don't appreciate myself, or that I lack worth, and that people won't pay for something if it's not expensive. So long story short, I've explored all avenues. All avenues. I've done things for donation, I've done things for ludicrous prices, I've done things for low prices. I've really explored my own, I've done research. I've researched. I've come full circle with how I feel about that. Now, that's the opportunity this week. What have you been through that has restored balance for you? How can you use that balance now? So now I wouldn't say I'm unattached to it, but I'm aware of where I'm at before I act with that. Because yes, there was times that I would do it from a knee-jerk reaction of trying to save the world. And there were other times when I would be thinking about money, but not allowing myself to think about that. Look at these areas in your life. It may be money, it may be relationships, it may be your health, it may be your physical connection to the earth. It may be the way that you see yourself here and what it is you have to offer. It doesn't matter what that's tied into. Look at your reality. Look at any harmony that needs to be brought forth so that you are more direct, more balanced, more in homeostasis with how you feel, your truth, and what you are creating as a result. Get real this week. Okay, so overall, well, we do have that Wheel of Fortune, and I think that is the only major arcana this week. So change is afoot. Quite literally, change is afoot, and that will depend on just a huge amount of energy come in. Even though it's only a little cat, I've had a lot of energy coming in with her. So be mindful of that. We may feel small in a scenario. We may feel as if we're not having much impact, and that can actually affect what we share. There's been many times I've thought about not doing videos and stuff because of the amount of likes, and this is normal, right? But we may feel as if we're not making a difference. If only we could see the changes that happen around us or as a result of who we are. This week there's an opportunity with that, depending on how open we are, depending on the perspectives we want to take with that. Either way, there's a shift occurring that will bring us back to a deeper knowing, not an understanding, a deeper knowing of who we are within the changes that need to happen. We have a lot of sword cards this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yes, the temptation there is to try and understand things. Oh, 6. Okay, so once we can face that, 1, 2, 3, no, 5. Once we can face that it's all coming from a desire to understand things. Now, there's nothing right or wrong with that, but acknowledge where the desire to understand things comes from. I love learning, but I'm also a control freak. So balance that out. Why do you need to know what's going to happen? Where are you lacking confidence in your ability to be in the unknown? Where are you not stepping into your role within the situation? What can your knowing about yourself bring to the table, and how can that change things? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sword cards. So the change is coming with our intellect. It is coming with our mind, in that the mind has to become the breath of life into any situation. We have to realize that. So the magician, the Mercury, the magician for next year is in the energy of Mercury in the tarot. So it is about our communication. It is about how we connect to that and what we use to translate the messages that are occurring. Is it our wounds that are translating what's happening? Is it our higher self? Is it our physical self? How can we bring them all together? No one is better than the other. How can we bring them all together? There's a huge turning point with that. For me, it's the medicine wheel and mediumship and connecting to all the elements within us, recognizing the fifth element of ourselves within that as well next year as we move into a more ether-like understanding. Everyone is going to be different. How can you bring all these things together? You might find you're a writer, that you can then paint pictures with your writing, or you like to make music and that music can actually tell a story. How can you bring these things together? For far too long we've been fragmented, and that has really limited our abilities. But one thing runs through them all. Well, that's you. Know yourself, know your skill, know yourself, know your soul, know yourself, know your mindset, know yourself, know your potential. Or at least know where you don't want to know yourself, which could be the other side of things. The medicine wheel goes up and down, the wheel of fortune goes up and down, right? So feeling into where you are on your own wheel, feeling into where you are in your own stage of life. I kind of knew I was going into the north of my own medicine wheel because there was areas that weren't quite clear because everything has shifted. So feel into where you may be right now. Are you at a point of completion? If so, bringing in anything new. We get so caught up in the moon phases, right? But if you're in more of a full moon stage, then the new moon isn't going to be relevant to you. Where are you in your own cycle? Do you really need to be bringing in new things? Maybe you need to let go. Maybe you need to bring in new things and you've spent so long letting go that you don't know how to balance that. Where are you in your own consciousness of the magic and the cycle and the creativity that you find yourself in? Don't overthink it. Don't try and control it. Don't try and force it. Watch it play out with some curiosity. Don't get frustrated with it. It takes you backwards. Or if you're going to get frustrated, ensure that it doesn't take you backwards. Have some compassion with yourself because it is very mind driven this week. We then have 2 cup cards, the 8 of cups and the 10 of cups. How can we help ourselves move forward? Come back to what feels good. Come back to a sense of gratitude. Come back to the things that you love that open you up. Yes, we can feel that things are shutting down, like my door being open but looking closed. We can feel as if doors are closing. We can feel as if options aren't there. Come back to what is open in front of us. What can we do in front of us? What do we actually really want and need in that situation? We then have 2 pentacle cards, the 5 of pentacles and the 6 of pentacles. There is a rhythm here, okay, between those moments where we don't feel as if we can go on, looking at how well our own needs are met. There's a lot of people will say, if you feel low about life, get out and be of service to others. And I agree with that to an extent. But recognizing where you are before you do so. If you're going to go into a situation where you're not feeling 100% anyway, there's a difference between support and trauma bonding. If you're in a situation where you're not feeling that great anyway and you're giving more than you're capable of, that's not beneficial for anybody. I've never given away things and done things by donation when I couldn't eat. So recognizing that there has to be balance there as well. Otherwise what that does is that brings forward a very martyr-like complex, which is the shadow aspects this week we could all be facing. Okay, we can say it's the situations around us that keep repeating, or we can acknowledge that our behaviors are within them too. Right, 1 card, energies this week and how to best navigate it. Oh, well, we have 2 that have fallen out. Okay, so there's several to one side, and the cards to one side are the 5 of cups and the 2 of swords. Recognize when we don't quite understand what is going on, when we feel blinded and uncertain, it's because we're being encouraged to just let go, to feel into the grief that will bring forward and allow that to show us where we really are. We have the moon and the 2 of wands. Up until, and that's, I feel that in my jaw. Up until the full moon, let things play out. The full moon is on the Thursday. So up until the full moon, let things play out. Stand your ground. This reminds me of the 3 of wands. The only difference is they don't have the caduceus, they don't have the serpent there, they don't have the healing there. As we move from the snake year into the fire horse year, you know, there's that feeling of wanting things to change but not quite being ready because we're not there yet. Let the serpent do her job. Allow your body to shed these stories, connect to the earth, ground into where you are. Let the moon bring forward anything that now needs or wants. There's a difference between what we need and what we want. There's a difference between what needs to happen and what we want to happen. Ultimately, the outcome is the same. I'm not saying that the outcome is different. What I'm saying is we may want to be through something. We may want to be over something. We may want to create something. But we need to acknowledge what we need in order to do so. So when I say there's a difference between need and want, it's not that we can't have or do or make. It's more about recognizing how we do that. Where are we? Do we believe we're capable of that? What illusions have we found ourselves under? You know, it's one thing to say that you're going to run the London Marathon, but if you haven't started training for that, that's what you need now. It's not that the outcome isn't possible. Be aware of the expanded vision and the potential as we go into next year. But all great magic has building blocks, has physical steps that keep us alive, that keep the breath of life there, that keep us wanting to continue. Recognize yourself in that. Recognize what you need in that. Recognize the very stages of creation. It's not that we can't. We can. But what do we need in order to prepare ourselves for that? And where have we come under the illusion of, thank you, having to make things more complicated than they are? Take care. I'll see you next week.